fearlessly do this. Remember, the closer your head is, the closer your hand is to your forehead, the less likely you are to thwack your face with the poi. So trust, have faith, yes. And then elbow out to the side instead of this. So you're doing more of this, where the elbow's coming front, open to the side like this, so that you're supporting the movement. Okay, so that, but over the crown. So you're here, elbows to the side, slide it up and in, up and in, up and in. So I'm guessing when you do a pinwheel, you do it like this, not like this. Visually, those are different, right? You can see that this is two circles that overlap, forming a Venn diagram, versus a single circle, which is the difference. Like the pinwheel or windmill is directly over the crown. The shoulder reel is in the pocket. A series of things you can work on, and hey, just because fundamentals can be fun, that's why they start with fun. If you start down here in a clockwise split time hip reel, right, you can play with this whole entire dynamic where you gradually bring the arms up, 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 all the way to the over the crown reel, right? And then back down, 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 down. Now I'm practicing this with extensions because there's utility to this business here that can come into play, like say for these guys, if you wanted to do this business. Or this one, which is what the whole thing was, right? That you use your left hand right now because it was your left hand that was struggling. Yes, and you're going in clockwise. Okay, great. So you're good here. Notice your palm is backward while you're doing this. Now watch, as I go up, my palm turns. It rotates to face you. Rotate the palm. As you go up, keep going up, but rotate the palm. Yes, that. But now extend the arm. Yeah, yeah. My palm, my hand is going front to back, but what I'm talking about is the rotation of the palm. My palm is facing anterior, not posterior. Left hand doing this motion, going back and forth. Have you ever seen a picture of a sperm? Like a video of a sperm moving? When a sperm moves, it's got this tail, right? And the tail is doing this. But the head of the sperm is not what motivates it forward. It's the tail. It's the wave of the tail. If you think about the wiggle of the tail of the sperm, right? And you compare that to poi, think of poi as the head of the sperm, the actual poi, but think of your arm as the tail. And what's happening is, I would say there's four major points where you're creating your wiggle. Your fingertips, your wrist, your elbow, and your shoulder, right? So what's happening right now is you're locking your elbow. So you're missing one of the joints to help you. Yes, yes. So if you were to look at me with a focus on my elbow, you'll notice there's some bounce going up and down. You'll also notice if you look at my shoulder, there's some wiggle going front to back. You'll also notice if you look at my wrist, there's rotation, and then you probably can't see it because it's so subtle, but my fingertips are doing sort of the steering, if you will. So all of those things are playing together to make the wiggle, if you will. Here's a new technique for you, maybe. It looks like it might be new. Practicing moving from, now just watch my palm. So my poi are going to go front to back plane, right? So I'm just going to go front to back plane. But what I'm doing is I'm practicing going palm anterior. Now watch as I go down. Palm posterior, right? So it's facing behind me, facing toward you, facing behind me, facing toward you, facing behind me. So as I'm getting to this horizontal point, so my hand is going like this. If I were to do it in slow-mo with just the hand, I'm like this, where the palm is back. And then as I come up, I rotate, right? So that the elbow comes down below the hand instead of above. All that stuff that you do with your waist wrap, which you have really gorgeous, you're using this basic technique where it's palm pointing away from you behind you, and elbow is bent, and elbow is above the hand, right? Very normal. What I'm talking about now is moving toward the opposite, where the elbow is below the hand. And the reason I'm pointing out the locked elbow thing is because your mileage may vary. And in my experience, I've seen people create injury by accidentally locking themselves up in here, which ends up causing tension across here in these tendons. So I'm just trying to give you some injury prevention while you're learning it. I'm sure it's obvious to you, but I'll say it just in case it isn't. You can do this in all four drills, right? So my left hand going clockwise, my left hand going anti-clockwise, my right hand going anti-clockwise, and then my right hand going clockwise. The next phase with it is practicing doing the whole sequence, right? Where you're practicing coming from down here all the way up top. Take a moment to notice this. If my hand is here, where the rotation of the poi puts the angle of the head farther from my face than here. It's more likely to hit my face here. Because you were self-taught, nobody suggested to you focusing on these movements going over the crown, right? Coming up over the crown here. And what I noticed over the years is because it is, I think in the beginning, it is the most scary thing for people, and they assume they're going to thwack their face. The very normal practice I've seen more times than I can count is this, where people turtle their neck and they protect their face and they lean forward when they're trying to go over the crown, as opposed to elongate. Well, I'm exaggerating it a little, but only a little. And then the irony of the process of doing that turtling is it's actually harder to keep it straight. And so you end up, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because you're protecting yourself, you end up having shittier lines, and as a result of having shittier lines, you're more likely to hit yourself. Without your poi, this seems like nothing, but just even practicing this might be a good drill for you. Because you're teaching yourself a whole bunch of things, including, if you notice from the side, what ends up happening is, so my hands are behind my back here, and then here, notice my shoulder rotation in there too, because it's really the shoulder rotation that allows the elbow to come below and come up. All the way up to the crown. Just to practice going all the way up to the crown and touch and then come back down. Yes, yes, yes. And I would invite you to go up over the crown, not behind the head. Because this is where you don't go right now, so this will at least help you practice remembering that it exists, even though you don't play there. I just gave you the new drill with just moving the hands without the poi. Then I would say doing this drill with the palm anterior, forward, not backward, and the elbow below the hand the whole time. Both directions, both hands, which is 4 drills. The next one is doing the reel. You might actually need to do this one hand at a time first, right? Going waist to crown, back down to waist, but going through the long arm here and then back down. Noting the rotation of the hand, right? So palm back, elbow above the wrist, rotation to elbow below the wrist as you're going up, right? So practicing that. Both hands, both directions, both individually and at the same time. You said you don't even know how to do the underhand opposite pinwheel. So here, this might teach you, right? You're down here, you're down here, you're down here, you're coming up, you're coming up. Once you start losing the plane, then you can start again down here, right? It feels safer down here, I feel like, and then you can get it by continuing to do that. And I would say, even though you can do it in split time, I would start out in same time because I think same time is a little safer. And what you do to focus on it to get it to, so that you're not thwacking the poi against each other, which ultimately ends up in them bouncing off and thwacking your face, is focusing on the bottom of the turn so that both of them hit the bottom of the turn at the same time, right? So beat, 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 beat. It's a little safer as you're doing it, so you're less likely to hit them against each other.